What's up guys, my name's Andre and welcome to a new video. It's been a while, I know. Some other stuff got a bit ahead of me. But we're here. We're finally here. Mainly what's been happening is I've been having trouble finding something interesting to record. It's not like gameplays give me any views anymore. I love doing gameplays, but since the price of Bitcoin is the shit that it is right now, the entire market, it's been really hard for me to stop mining and sit down and play. So I decided to change this. It will not change my ability to record gameplays or do live streams, because what I'm about to show you is not exactly capable of that. But let's give it a closer look. So what you're looking at right now is my favorite combo, or what I entitled my favorite combo. So since my main computer is mining Bitcoin, and if it isn't a mess as it is right now, it's not my computer or my stuff, this is my favorite combo. Let me just adjust this a little bit. It is a Core 2 Duo E7500 with 3 GB of DDR2 RAM running at 800 MHz, a GTS 250, and this card is not supposed to be here. Now, the Core 2, the E7500 is overclocked to 3.4 GHz. It might be even a tad more, like 3.46. I can't remember. But it's a nice boost. It's all sitting in a G31 motherboard from ASUS. It's the P5 KPL VM. It was originally an OEM board, which I flashed, to say that it's an ASUS, because the OEM manufacturer didn't change anything apart from putting a custom BIOS on the board. So it made no sense not being able to install the original manufacturer's drivers for the motherboard, just because the BIOS says that it's not an actual ASUS board. So I just went ahead, flashed it to the latest BIOS provided by ASUS, and really the OEM didn't change a thing in the board. Really, it didn't change anything. No components are different. There's no difference in layout. There's no missing features or added features. It's just a standard ASUS P5 KPL VM that says that it's for the Brazilians out there, it's a Positivo motherboard, a cheap OEM manufacturer that everyone knows and hates in Brazil because they make cheap, slow computers. And I'm really sorry if the camera's out of focus. It's been real hard to shoot with this camera lately. Let's just turn it on, and you will hate me for this. Let's see what Windows it's running. Got my 17-inch Flaptron LCD. Oh boy. And yes, it's running Windows Vista. And I told you were going to hate me for that. The reason being, I was using Windows XP on this, and Windows XP is very hampered nowadays. It's a great operating system if you're using NVIDIA, because if you're using ATI, like this 1600 Pro AGP, if you're using ATI/AMD, you're in for a cold one, because the drivers cause an enormous amount of overhead on the CPU, and that will just make the computer run like shit. Seriously, I mean, you have a computer that is completely usable with any graphics card, and then you install the ATI drivers, and then the computer just goes to shit. It's unusable. You can't play anything on it. So, I'm sick of this, and I decided I'll just go NVIDIA. And this GTS 250 was borrowed to me by my ex-math teacher. He is the Fidel Castro that everyone said that appeared on my live stream when my computer stuff first arrived. Yeah, it's the same guy. So he upgraded his computer. He was using this GTS 250, and he's upgraded to a GTX 1050 Ti. So this card was just laying around because it's a bit too old. And I asked him for it, and he borrowed me it. So here it is, and it's up and running. So how do I know that the ATI drivers were causing overhead? Well, it's quite simple. There's a little program that I like to run called QuickMark, and I first run the program. I basically finished installing Windows, basically to the point where I haven't installed any drivers. It's just sitting at the desktop, fresh out of the installation. I run Quick Mark, and I take a look at how many gigaflops the CPU does. That's my heart. You're hearing my heart because the microphone's touching me. And then I sort of see how many gigaflops the CPU is doing after the installation. So this CPU is doing 23 gigaflops out of the installation. Overclock. And that's the test that I've been conducting, really. On the ATI drivers, it's a bit less complicated than that, because the drivers are so bad that all I have to do is just open Task Manager after I install the driver, and I can see that the graphics card is using 50% of the CPU, and there's nothing I can do about it. Enough talk. What do I have here? So I have installed Steam, because Steam is still supported under Windows Vista, and Steam, if you got a CPU with the instructions, Steam is still supported as well under Windows XP, but some games will not like it. But here we go. We got a bunch of games, and these games that are here, they are for, most of the games are here for streaming. I haven't installed all of them. Let me see. Okay, local. There we go. These are the games I got installed. Amnesia: The Dark Descent, Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Half-Life Blue Shift, Opposing Force, Source, and Team Fortress 2. So mainly Source and Gold Source games. I will try, I can't promise anything, I will try to install 2 Call of Duty games, that being Call of Duty 4 and 5, and we'll see how it runs. So, what can you run on a machine like this? Well, let's figure it out. I just installed Doom 3, and let's start going through my Steam library. I don't know why it's opening the store every time I open it up. Change the brightness, otherwise the camera will just plow through its battery. Let's start with Team Fortress 2. Now, the disclaimer is that I'm not going to test Overwatch and PUBG and CSGO and whatever. Mainly because these games are not even going to run on this computer. CSGO, yeah, CSGO will run on this computer, but I don't have it. Overwatch and PUBG, forget it. Now, I was going to do an inline capture, so to say, but I figured, nah, like why? So let's just change the resolution to 1280 by 1024. This is a Flatron panel, I forgot the model of it, but it's running on DVI, so I don't have to worry about like quirky VGA alignment stuff. Let's just do this, FPS max 60, so I'm not here to show you what the maximum FPS will be, because we're gonna, I mean, this card is so hungry, at least compared to what I have here, to the power supplies I have here, that I simply cannot power this graphics card to its full potential. What I'm trying to say is, if I run this card too hard, the computer will shut off, because the power supply is not strong enough, and I do not have money to get another power supply. Should have stopped the camera when I started loading the game. Because here's the deal. It's hot here in Brazil. We're just about leaving summer. And the thing is, my iPhone 4S gets really hot. So hot that it simply tells me, I'm too hot, I'm not gonna work. And that's about it. So I have to time each cut, not because of memory limitations, but because the iPhone gets too hot and it stops recording midway through. I'm gonna stop the camera. Alright, we're back into the game. Now we're playing with bots. Bots are sort of an unrealistic scenario, because like, the possibility that you're gonna be playing with bots is small. And second, that when you play with bots, it really hampers on the CPU. So the game will actually run a lot slower in performance when you're playing with bots. So what I got here is, the game is in ultra settings. Ultra, because there's no ultra in Team Fortress 2. Man, this layout sucks. Okay, this GUI is the worst one I have ever seen in my life. Oh my god. What is this? Look. Kill me. Okay. 4 times AA, 16 times AF, model detail high, texture high, shader high, shadow high, VSync is turned on, FOV is on 90, motion blur is enabled. I have disabled dynamic range because to me looks no better. Bloom is disabled. We got it locked on VSync, and we got the game capped at 60 FPS, so that the card doesn't shut off. And I got fraps running in the corner, so you can take a look at the frame rate. I do apologize that I'm not recording the line audio of the game, although I could do it now that I got Windows Vista. This is simply not possible with Windows XP. And again, playing with bots is an unrealistic scenario because the CPU is now handling the bot AI, and also is handling most of the particles and physics of the game. So it's a lot heavier. And you will hear, as a matter of fact, some fans in the background because this GTS 250 probably has a dust bunny between the heatsink and the output of the fan. So there's not, and I can't get it apart. It's pissing me off for ages that I can't get it apart to check if there is an actual dust bunny between the heatsink and the output of the fan. So the graphics card runs at 95 degrees under load, which, funny enough, it's still within spec by NVIDIA. It's just too hot for most people. And since we are playing with bots, there are 12 of them, or 11 bots. I would say that this Core 2 Duo, for a dual core that's 9 years old, it's handling it extremely well. Right, so here we are in Doom 3. When a project actor that may have something to say, the cursor changes, the name, whatever. Okay, so this is Doom 3, also running on ultra settings. 4 times anti-aliasing, 1280 by 1024. Locked at 60 FPS, VSync turned on, if I haven't said that already. And, yeah, that's Doom 3. Let's play some of it. I really do not like Doom 3 when that happens. when, you know, like, reality just breaks. It's really discombobulating. This is something you should never do in the game if you're a game developer. Please, learn from Doom 3 and never do that. It just breaks reality. It's not a movie, it's a game. You're supposed to be immersed, and it just breaks the immersion as soon as you're into the game. But yeah, in these first stages of the game runs flawlessly, as expected. Look! I walked 3 feet, and reality just broke again. I hate this. That's why I'm only testing this game, but it's not a game that I'm fond of. I'll give it that. This game looks good to some extent. We just have some obvious problems with the map mapping, bump mapping, and the textures. Totally not creepy, some guy just stops by and stands there. I have no idea where the fuck I'm going. Oh, it's right there. Why is there a minigun mounted to the... Like, this game is all over the place, seriously, with the textures. I mean, I know it's 2003, so most graphics cards like the 9800 Pro only had 128 megs of RAM. So it totally makes sense that this card only like that this game is all over the place with the textures. Some textures look pretty darn good for the time, but most of the time, look at this. These textures look awful. It's just bump mapping all over the place. But I think we're done with Doom 3. I don't want to make this video 40 minutes long, not like my older videos. It's been way too long. 45 minutes. Okay, so what I did in the meantime, it's 1:41 in the morning. What I did was I installed active cooling on the iPhone, so now there's a fan attached to it blowing at the screen in order to prevent it from overheating. Let's crack on now that I can record for longer times without the phone complaining on me. Let's move on to Half-Life 2. Okay, let's load a game. So we're in Ravenholm. Same settings. Let's just increase that. Perfecto, AF 16 times. Let's just leave that on. FPS max. Yeah, let's fix that. Disconnect. It's actually quite stupid that you have to disconnect from the menu in order to change the FPS max value. Map. This game looks good and it runs good. Remember, this is source 20. This is source 24. So this is not the most optimized or lightest version of this game. Oh man. I do have the release version of this game, which is like release 1.0, which is running on source 7, and that version is what we recommend if you are trying this game on period hardware such as this 1600 Pro, which is to me it's considered period hardware because it's like 2005. So you're better off with the release version of this game, because the Steam version, as we're playing it right now, is just a port. The game has been ported to a newer version of the engine without any sort of optimization. It's just a port, so it runs like crap on an actual like 2004 graphics cards. Phil from Phil's Computer Lab told me that he didn't understand why a 6800 GT was struggling on Half-Life 2, and I told him, which version are you running? Are you running the Source 24, which is the Steam version, or are you running an old version like the Orange Box version or even the release version? And he told me it was the Steam version. Yep, that's why I said it. I told him it's because you're running the Steam version. The Steam version is optimized for modern hardware. It's just a port of the game to the newer version of the engine without any sort of optimization. It just doesn't run as it should on period correct hardware. So keep that in mind if you're testing this. You can see this happening on my video Half-Life 2 and the FX 5200, The Hard Truth. If you watch that video, the game runs like shit on the 5200, and it's not entirely the 5200's fault. It's more because I was running the Source 24 version, or the Steam version of the game, and that that version just doesn't run well with old graphics cards. It really doesn't. But since this one is a lot more powerful, it's basically a die-shrunk, overclocked version of the 8800 GT. This is essentially what the GTS 250 is. It's an 8800 GT that's been die-shrunk, or i.e. it's being manufactured on a smaller node, and it's overclocked. That's essentially what it is. Since everyone knows what Half-Life 2 runs like, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this game. I just want to show you the game running. And that's about it. Okay, now for a game that, how can I say, few people actually use this as a benchmark, but I want to test it anyway, which is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. So, let's run this on high settings at full desktop resolution, 1280 by 1024. Amnesia can get quite hard on GPUs because of SSAO, which is screen space ambient occlusion, and it basically creates like a black aura around everything, and it makes the ambience look better. This game is scary as shit. There we go. I needed the audio of the game on the microphones to sync it up on the editing. Well, what I like about this game is that it doesn't take too long to start. The maps do not take a whole bunch to load, except for some later maps that do take a while to load. Now, this game does have some issues with stuttering, because for some odd reason, this entire game would fit into the RAM. This game isn't that large. The entire game would fit into RAM. But they choose simply not to cache most of the stuff. They do not cache like audio sound files and shit. So for example, when you pick a pot, throw it in the floor, the game has to quickly source from the hard drive the sound of the pot breaking. That's one example, and then the game stutters, instead of just pre-caching all the sounds of the game onto memory if it detects that it can do so. Alright, cracking on with this game, I love this game so much. In fact, I've been making mods for this game for 6 years. Let me just increase the brightness, because this is one dark game. I think we have VSync turned off. Yep, it's turned off. Let's turn that on. Make the game even brighter. That's about what you should see with this game. Let me enable the debug menu, and then we're gonna load some bigger maps. Let's load some of the later maps that are larger, like the Cistern. It's a very large map, uses a shit ton of reflection, which, funny enough, reflections are something that uses the most amount of processing power in this game. Just reflections from the water. As you can see, everything is just mirrored on the water. It looks excellent. There'll be a load of fan noise in this audio just because the CPU is being used to hell. This is one game that loves CPU. So, there's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, I mean, this is literally the heaviest map in the game. And if it's running well, this map, well, There's nothing else to complain in this. Next game. Let's install Call of Duty 4, because I got some DVDs. Okay. Yay! I love how the installation screenshots are in 1024 by 768. This is a 2007 game. This game came 1 year before this computer, and I would imagine that 1280 by 1024 was an extremely common resolution for the time, especially for desktop use. So it kind of makes no sense that the screenshots of the installation, which not only are they 16-bit, but they're also 1024 by 768. Bogus. Yay, we're done. Man, that DVD drive is loud. Alright, let's change this up to 1280 by 1024, 60 Hz, anti-aliasing 4 times, VSync on, shadow, specular map, off. I'll just set the number of dynamic lights to low because I know that's going to weigh on the CPU too much. Bullet impacts, no. Because that bullet physics system really will hamper the CPU. Let's just go ahead and enable the console, because I don't want to play through the entire introduction again. Let's just go map, black out. And we're in like Flynn, as Dave from EEV Blog says. Here we go for my favorite mission of all. Now this is one that might crash the computer, because this game is a bit too heavy for the power budget that we got here. Just use the sniper rifle because my aim sucks. Well, at least my aim with this mouse sucks. Seriously, I have played through this mission so many times. It's literally my favorite mission. No joke. Hi there. You're dead, sir. I don't know what's so special about this game that makes me... about this mission, this specific mission that makes me love it. It's the fact that I love this mission. This mission and the Chernobyl sniper mission. Those are definitely two of my favorite missions in the entire game. Let's just go ahead and load that one. Map, Scout, Sniper. Because this one is more open, so we'll sort of have more so we'll have more chances of seeing this game rendering like an actual open, huge open environment. For some odd reason, this mission just got hard as balls for me. You have no idea how amazing this exact mission looks running at 4K. Because here, even with anti-aliasing 4 times, you can see a lot of aliasing on the leaves because the leaves are made out of pixels themselves. That's the main problem we got. And so, for example, if you use NVIDIA DSR and run this game at 4K, basically do 2 times super sampling on a 1080p display, which the game itself will be rendered at 4K. It looks amazing, and look at that. That's what I was talking about. Looks like there will be no line-in audio for this video. Now, it's the computer itself that has crashed because not enough power for the graphics card. But I think you can get an idea of what this computer does. Really, I haven't been recording videos because I can't find anything interesting to record. I might do a video on this ATI 1600 Pro, that I traded with Max Demian, the same guy that I purchased the Dual Pinion 3 board from. So I traded with him my Super Tucket 7 Asus P5AB for the 1600 Pro, and I might test it again. Like, I'm not a fan of ATI and AMD graphics cards anymore. What was that? That's weird. Okay, let's reboot it. What temperature is the CPU at? 3.42 gigahertz. But like, again, I'm not being a fan of ATI graphics cards recently because their drivers are shit. Seriously. Either they don't install or they cause a bunch of CPU overhead, making the machine useless. So, yeah, this graphics card will only be usable under Windows 2000 because the 2000 driver installs and it doesn't cause a whole bunch of CPU overhead. So that's that. And yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This rare video of me just playing around with stuff. It's been really far and few between. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.